Tycoon, after playing bad 99 men in a row, looked at his wife's white moonlight. Wife, however, took white moonlight back home to take refuge, turned around and lied to me that the other side is looking at me. I've heard that that one has a lot of tricks up his sleeve. If Mr. goes, I'm afraid the rest of his life will be ruined. Facing Butler's plea for leniency, the wife looked indifferent. If he doesn't go, the one who will be ruined will be Lee. Divorce. When he comes back, he is still my husband, and my child with Lee. We'll also call him father. I didn't struggle and calmly got into the limousine sent by Big Brother. In my previous life, I exposed my wife's lies and forced her to die before she let me go. But her white moonlight came back and jumped to her death. My wife held back until the day she gave birth and threw our baby off the hospital rooftop. I realized that she hated me from head to toe. In my second life, I decided to fulfill her and white moonlight. Have you heard that, Mr.? Pierce was looking at Mr. Lin's assistant, and asked Mr. Su to send him over. Or else Mr. Su would have to bankrupt the company. But Mr. Su couldn't let go of Mr. Lin's assistant, so he offered to let Mr. Pierce take his place. Mr. Pierce is over 60 years old and is a well-known pervert, and those who enter his villa are 9 out of 10 disabled. Isn't this pushing people into the fire pit? Alas, who says it's not? It can be seen that in Mr. Su's heart, 3 years of conjugal love doesn't count for anything at all. It's still white moonlight's killing power that's greater. The door to the living room was half covered. And the babysitter's murmurs came faintly. Mrs. Wilson, who was helping me sort out my clothes, couldn't help but say, Sir, why don't you go beg Madam, your husband and wife? She won't be that heartless. I helplessly sneered. It's useless. The whole upper-class circle knows. Mr. Pierce only hand to cover the sky. For people ruthless. Savannah wants to save Liam, but not to provoke Mr. Pierce anger. This hand over the person can only be me. Because I am similar to Liam. In a short time, she can't find a third person who resembles Liam. After Mr. Pierce's request reached Savannah's ears in her previous life, she brought Liam back to her home to take refuge. She lied to me that the person Mr. Pierce had his eye on was me. She pretended to be affectionate, crying that she wouldn't let me go with Mr. Pierce even if the company went bankrupt, while reassuring Liam that she would let me suffer in his place. It was only when I exposed her lies and forced her to die that she gave up the idea of replacing him. On the day she sent Liam to Mr. Pierce's villa, Savannah promised Liam in front of me that she would never dislike him and that she would divorce me when he returned. But the day after Liam's return, he jumped to his death, and Savannah took care of his affairs hastily. Savannah took care of his affairs hastily and didn't mention the divorce. I thought she was more or less married to me, until the day she gave birth. She threw our child from the hospital rooftop. Watched him fall into a puddle of flesh. I realized that all this was just her disguise, and that she had never let go of Liam in her heart. So when Mr. Pierce's driver came to Savannah's door yesterday to ask for someone, and she didn't hesitate to offer to replace me, I knew that Savannah had been reborn, too. In this life, she would definitely fight to the death to protect Liam. Sir, Madam is back, calling you down. I nodded calmly. Got it. Coming to the living room. Liam was indeed there. Savannah absently let go of Liam's hand and raised her eyes to me. Xavier, Mr. Pierce named you to go over there in 2 days. So go pack up. Like in her previous life, she lied to me and said that the other party had specified me, not mentioning a word about the switch. I looked at her and asked back with a sneer, Am I really being asked to come over? Savannah sheepishly avoided my gaze and impatiently said, "Who else could it be if not you? You're lucky to be in Mr. Pierce's eyes." I couldn't help but laugh out loud. "Really? Do you want to give this blessing to Liam?" Savannah got angry all of a sudden. "The one who wants you is Mr. Pierce. What are you pissing at Lee for? Don't give me the shade here." Apologized to Lee. I ignored her, but saw Liam behind her scramble to his knees. He put on a look of righteousness. "Mr. Su, don't get angry with Mr. Xiao because of me. I'm just a small assistant. It's okay for Mr. Xiao to look down on me and taunt me twice. As long as I can keep the company, I'm willing to go over to Mr. Pierce's side instead of Mr. Xiao." Before his knees touched the ground, he was heartily helped up by Savannah. "Lee, there is gold under a man's knees. Don't kneel him." She looked at Liam with doting eyes. "I know you'd do anything for me, but Mr. Pierce wants Xavier." After saying that, Savannah turned her head and stared at me coldly. "It's no use making a scene when it's over. You don't need me to tell you what happens when you piss off Mr. Pierce. Do you understand? If you are afraid that I won't want you after you come back, then you can rest assured. I promise you that I won't divorce you because of this." I sniffed and got up. Picking up a file, Savannah frowned, shielding Liam. "What are you doing?" I laughed softly, stepping aside. "Of course, Savannah. Let's get a divorce." I hand Savannah the papers with divorce papers written in big letters. She doesn't even look at them and knocks them away. "Xavier, what's wrong with you? I told you I'm not divorcing you. I know you don't want to, but if you don't, my company will go bankrupt. You don't want everything I've worked so hard for to be ruined in your hands, do you?" I couldn't help but sigh. Savannah was really good at this moral kidnapping trick. Saying it as if I'm intentionally trying to ruin her career by not going. Does she think that I'm as easy for her to pin down as I was in my previous life? In my previous life, I had already thought of a strategy to deal with Mr. Pierce. Seeing my silence, Savannah grimaced. "Xavier, to tell you the truth, I'm pregnant with Lee's child. As long as you can relieve the crisis for the company, big deal. In the future I will let you be the father of the child." "That won't be necessary," I interrupted her, kicking the papers on the floor. "I have no interest in being a backup parent, much less a father to an illegitimate child." "Xavier." Regardless of the shouting behind me, I turned to go upstairs. Mrs. Wilson reddened again at the sight of me packing slowly and methodically. "Sir, are you really going over to Mr. Pierce's side? I just can't figure it out. When Mrs. Pierce's parents died, it was you who accompanied Mrs. Pierce day and night and got her through the hardest days. Could it be that your sincere dedication for so many years is still no match for a scummy man who wants to return home to eat soft rice only after he can't make it in a foreign country? Madam clearly said that she only loves you alone in this life. How could she be enchanted by that dog?" I shook my head helplessly. "Don't call me sir from now on. I have nothing to do with this family anymore." Mrs. Wilson wiped her tears. "But sir, if you go over to Mr. Pierce's side, you won't be severely traumatized down." My hand lurched. "It seems that Mrs. Wilson also thinks that I am dead." I was about to open my mouth when suddenly a glass of cold water was thrown in my face. "Oops, I'm really sorry, Mr. Xiao." My hand slipped for a moment. It was Liam. He held up an empty glass and said something apologetic, but his face was full of smugness. Then again, Mr. Xiao shouldn't have to prepare too much luggage. After all, there shouldn't be anything missing on Mr. Pierce's side. And after all, you're not the first man he's picked up. Mrs. Wilson was shaking with anger. And you've gone too far, Mrs. Wilson. Forget it. The provocative look in Liam's eyes grew stronger as he thought I wouldn't dare start an argument with him. His gaze fell teasingly to my lower back. I've heard that, Mr. Pure sadistic techniques can do everything, and everyone who's been to his place has become mentally ill, so I don't know how many days Mr. Xiao will be able to survive. I'm afraid that Mr. Xiao can only be a good sister to Xian after he comes back, drying the water from my hair. I push Liam out of my room. Then I won't bother you. I was about to close the door when Liam suddenly wrapped her arms around me. Xavier, guess what Xian would do to you if I fell down the stairs? He grinned maliciously and suddenly fell backwards towards his back. Aw, help. Savannah blushed profusely and without hesitation rushed over to help Liam up. Lee, are you okay? Liam pretended to be kind and explained. I'm fine, Mr. Su. Don't blame Mr. Xiao. He's just jealous that you're having my baby. It's just a momentary impulse. His words but made Savannah hated me. Savannah rushed up and fiercely dumped me with a loud slap. Xavier, you disgust me. You do this to Lee and he keeps defending you. You're no better than a hair on his head. Serves you right for being played by an old man. You're better off being played, Savannah said with more vitriol than words, ordering the bodyguard to put me in the underground confinement cell. Don't give him a drop of water without my order, Mrs. Wilson cried and knelt outside to plead for mercy. Ma'am, you can't do this to Mr. You forget that he has claustrophobia and is most afraid of the dark. He will die. Savannah turned a deaf ear. Liam, who covered his head at the side, seemingly unintentionally but actually maliciously provoked. Mrs. Wilson, no matter how you are also a member of the Su family, how can you turn to Xavier again and again? What favor did he give you? Make you protect him like your own son? Or is there something between you and Xavier when Mr. Su is not at home? Mrs. Wilson was completely furious. She wanted to rush up and tear Liam apart, but was held down by the bodyguards. Mrs. Wilson cried and stood guard outside the basement for the whole night. The next night, Mr. Pierce's men came to pick me up. Savannah opened the basement door. Dim light poured in through the door and shone on my huddled figure in the corner. After a day and a night without water or light, my lips were dry and cracked. My face was as pale as a sheet of paper, and even my breathing was weak. Savannah stood in the doorway, her pupils shrinking slightly as her eyes fell on me. Xavier. She walked in quickly, her fingers hovering over the side of my face, wanting to touch but stopping, as if she felt I was going to shatter if she did. Why did you get like this? I was just trying to calm you down. It was at this moment that she remembered Mrs. Wilson's words, that I had a severe case of claustrophobia. 2 years ago she was being suppressed by her competitors, and in order to force her out of the bidding, they kidnapped me and locked me in a dark, centralized box for 3 days and nights. I was afraid of the dark because of her, but now she was sending me down the abyss herself. Xavier. Savannah's voice trembled and she was trying to hold me in her arms when Liam walked in. Strange. I've seen the surveillance, Mr. Xiao, this whole day nothing abnormal. How could it become like this? Savannah froze, turned her head to look at Liam, and then looked down at me. Her eyes gradually cold, stood up, more than a few points of skepticism in her tone. Fake. Liam pretended to be surprised. Mr. Xiao is worthy of professional training. It's a pity that he's not an actor. He paused and glanced at Savannah. Seeing her face grim, he added more fuel to the fire. Mr. Su. Don't blame him, Mr. Xiao probably wants you to feel sorry for him and had no choice but to do this. Savannah's face changed and changed. The last trace of hesitation under her eyes was completely erased by Liam's words. Taking a deep breath, she turned to the door and shouted, "Someone take him out. Mr. Pierce's car is still waiting outside." The bodyguards quickly stepped forward and stood me up from the floor. I didn't even have the strength to stand still. I could only let them drag me outside. Mr. Pierce's assistant was waiting outside for a long time. When he saw me walking over with a pale face and a weak body, he immediately looked panicked, jogged forward in 3 steps and respectfully took me from the bodyguard's hands. "Sir, are you okay?" I shook my head and was about to get into the car when Liam suddenly tugged on me and whispered in my ear in a voice that only the two of us could hear. "Xavier. In fact, the person Mr. Pierce wanted in the beginning was me." A slow smile bloomed on his face. "Thank you for going to suffer for me. Don't worry. In case you die in Mr. Pierce's villa, they'll collect your body for you. As for Xian, the mother of my child, I will take care of that for you as well." Liam finished, shoving a signed copy of the divorce papers into my arms. "It's true that she didn't intend to divorce you at first, feeling that she couldn't do right by you, but I told her that I didn't want to be the man behind her back for the rest of my life. I wanted to be her husband and her child's father in a dignified manner. So she signed this divorce papers right away." Liam patted me on the shoulder with a smug look on his face. "Can't even keep a woman's heart. Xavier, you're a failure." I held that divorce agreement and just felt relieved. At this moment, I was truly grateful to Liam. "Thanks." The limousine gradually drove away from Su's house. I rolled down the window, looked at Savannah and Liam who were left far behind, and hooked the corner of my mouth. Good show. This is just beginning. Halfway through the limo, my abdomen began to ache faintly. It didn't take long for it to turn into a sharp pain. I suddenly remembered that when Liam tapped me on the shoulder, it seemed like I felt a little tingle in my shoulder, but I didn't care. I thought that sending me away was his tactic. But now it seems that he's even more scheming than I thought. He's afraid that if I go back to Su's house alive, he won't be able to keep his position as a good usurp. He just wants me to die on the way to Mr. Pierce's villa. That way the matter will be thrown over Mr. Pierce's head, and he will have nothing to do with it. And with Mr. Pierce's power, who would dare investigate him? Thinking of this, I immediately said to the front seat of the assistant, "I'm dying. Help me." Assistant's scared face white. "Sir, what's wrong with you, Mr. Pierce commanded. "You cannot have an accident." Half an hour later, the limousine parked in front of Mr. Pierce's villa. I was already blurred in consciousness, and my breathing was weaker than a sound. I was carried into the room. My assistant followed me the whole time, full of anxiety. "Sir, you must hold on." I nodded, my face still as pale as paper. I had just swallowed the antidote he had given me, and my life would not be in danger for a while. But that didn't mean that I would survive. "Assistant Wong, please make a call for me. The other party is called Pei Yasi. Just tell her that the little box is dying." The assistant left in a panic. I don't know how much time passed. It was probably dark. The murmurs of the underlings resounded outside. I think Assistant Wang is really scared. What is this, Mr. Xiao? Mr. Pierce named the person he wanted, and he almost died before he even met him. Can Assistant Wang not be scared? If this is known to Mr. Pierce, I am afraid that none of them will be able to live. I pinched my arm to death and forced myself to be awake, trying to fidget with my disobedient legs. I slid down the edge of the bed and sat on the floor. Soon there were footsteps outside. Mr. Pierce was here. He pushed his way through the door and in just a moment, quickly rushed over to me. His eyes landed on me and his face went white as he turned his head to the man behind him and snarled. What's wrong with him? What did the doctor say? Mr. Pierce rested his anger. It's the special assistant beside Miss Su who used a new type of pinhole drug to cause harm to Mr. Xiao. It has been detoxified. The inability to take care of himself is temporary. As long as you rest well, you will. Before the other party could finish, I fainted. Mr. Pierce's eyes were full of panic, and he held me up with one hand. Xavier, he shouted like a madman. Someone, call a doctor. I had a long dream. In it, I went back to the time when I knew Savannah. I was a little-known actress, and she was a passionate entrepreneur with nothing to lose. At that time, Savannah had just broken up with Liam. Her parents died unexpectedly and her company was on the verge of bankruptcy. But Liam chose to leave when she needed him the most and left the country without looking back. She seemed to have been emptied out, locked herself in a small rented office every day, writing plans with red eyes. I couldn't bear to watch her, so I turned down an offer for a movie and ran to be with her. I took her hand and said in a firm tone, You still have me. As long as I'm here, you won't lose. From that day on, I stayed up late with her to change the program, went to meet investors, and even learned to do simple financial statements. She was so busy that she often forgot to eat. So I went to her company every day at noon with a lunchbox I made. When she was buried in her work, I peeled an apple for her and said with a smile, Starting a business is a big deal, but who is going to support your dream if your body collapses? She always took the apple helplessly, complaining that I was nagging her, but gradually there was light in the bottom of her eyes. Once, she didn't close her eyes for 3 consecutive days. I saw her emaciated like a shadow, and directly pulled her away from the computer and forced her under the covers. Xavier, are you annoyed? I have a plot to finish. She glared at me in exasperation. Bother, you have to put up with it. I handed her the hot milk. I'm not leaving until you go to sleep. She stared at me for half a day and suddenly smiled. Xavier, with you around, it seems like I can really hold it together. Later, while her business slowly took off, I gradually faded out of the acting world. My friends said I was crazy to give up a promising career to be a house husband for a woman. But I don't care, because I love Savannah. I'm willing to be the one behind her. She is too busy to take care of herself. So I cook for her every day in different ways. Soup, steamed fish, fried her favorite sweet and sour pork. She ate every time full of grease, but also did not forget to flirt. Xavier, if you take this cooking skills to open a store, I do not have to start a business. I laughed at her. Then you'll have to pay me a salary. I only serve you as a boss. Days went by like this until the night her company went public. At the celebration banquet, she stood on the stage in a black dress and announced to everyone that her company had been recognized by the market. Applause from the stage. I stood in the crowd looking at her, heart full of pride. But she suddenly walked to the stage, kneeled down on one knee, and pulled out a ring from her pocket, her eyes brighter than stars. Xavier, I used to think I would never believe in love again in my life. You're the one who got me through the worst of it and taught me to get back on my feet. She took a deep breath and her voice trembled slightly. I can't give you the world, but am willing to give you everything I have. Xavier, will you marry me? At that moment, I thought I had the world. But then the dream turned to our second wedding anniversary. I waited for Savannah for 2 hours, but she said something came up at work and canceled our candlelight dinner. Then I received an anonymous email and learned that Liam had returned home today. She prepared a big reception party for him, with flowers, songs and dances. From that day on, Savannah came home later and later and stayed out more and more. She even murmured the word Lee when she was with me late at night. I knew the name, of course. But in the face of Savannah's change of heart, I became a shrinking violet. Ignoring her regular monthly business trips, ignoring her large number of luxury gift small-ticket records, ignoring her every now and then to the villa in the countryside to see Liam. Dreams switch again. I went back to my past life. Savannah, like a demon, stood up on the hospital rooftop holding her newborn child in her arms. I begged and pleaded, even got down on my knees and begged her to spare her innocent infant son. Please. He's your own flesh and blood. But Savannah didn't hesitate and threw him down the stairs. The moment the cries came to a screeching halt, I was desperate to the point of suffocation. Savannah, on the other hand, had a look of pleasure on her face. Xavier, it's all because you killed Lee.Do. You know how long I've been waiting for this day. I just want you to watch your own child die. I rushed up and choked her hard. Savannah, he's your child too. Why are you so cruel? She stared at me viciously, a creepy sneer on her lips. He's not my child. He's just a bastard. I had nightmare after nightmare. When I was about to wake up, I heard a woman's urgent voice in my ear. I thought we said it was okay. Why isn't he waking up? It's Pei Yasi. How could she be here? I must be dreaming. When I opened my eyes and woke up, I saw a big beautiful woman staring at me from close range. In the next second, shouts of joy hit my ears. Little box, you're finally awake. I was stunned as the big beauty hugged me in a hug. Yes. When I was attending film school, I had the honor of attending a charity dinner with my mentor and saved a little girl. She said she was targeted by bad people and was desperate, so I kindly took her in for a month. One day, however, she suddenly left. A note left behind said, "Little box, I'm going home. If you need help in the future, call this number." Pei Yasi held my hand affectionately. Little box, I can finally see you. Actually, after I came home, I've been trying to find a chance to see you. But Grandpa was afraid that I'd be targeted by bad people again and sent me out of the country. When I received the call from Assistant Wang, I was simply scared to death and hurriedly bought a ticket back to China. Do you know that you have been in a coma for 3 days? I moved my hands and feet. It was good to have it all over with, even though half a foot was in the ghost gate. Yes, you just said your grandfather. Could he be Mr. Pierce? I pretended to test the waters. But I actually already knew that Mr. Pierce had a granddaughter who loved him too much to be called Yasi Pei. At first I thought it was just the same name, until a photo of Pei Yasi came out once, and I instantly recognized that she was the little sister I saved back then. If it wasn't for Savannah and Liam pushing me to the brink of extinction, I had no intention of climbing into a relationship with the Pei family. Now I want to live. I want to take revenge. I can only through Pei Yasi this life-saving straw. So in this life, I didn't expose Savannah's lies and took the initiative to sit in Mr. Pierce's car because I was certain that if I asked Pei Yasi for help, she would definitely come to save me. And if her grandfather tried to do something sick to me, she would be sure to stop him. Pei Yasi laughed. Yeah, he's the one I mentioned to you before. A notorious old man. A layer of despondency colored the bottom of her eyes. Grandpa is now so powerful and has countless enemies that he can only rely on smearing him. Those what play men are all rumors they made up. But no matter how we explain it, others just don't believe it. And even the more they describe it, the blacker it gets. She suddenly looked up at me. Little box, you won't believe it too, right? I sprayed out a mouthful of medicinal soup. No, probably because I showed too much obviousness. Pei Yasi recognized me in a second and helplessly said, "Geez, little box. Please have some common sense, okay? A society of law and order. How could that kind of thing happen? You misunderstood my grandfather. He's not that kind of bad person. He sends someone to pick you up, also to protect you, in her mouth. I heard some other truths that I never knew. Mr. Pierce has been trying to thank me since he learned that his granddaughter was saved by a good Samaritan. He originally saw that I was good in every aspect of my looks and character and planned to ask me to join the Pei family, who knew that I already had a girlfriend. Which broke his heart. But even if he couldn't be the Pei family's granddaughter-in-law, he still secretly sent people to pay attention to and protect me. As a result, he learned that my wife is looking for a mistress behind my back. Originally, he is not good to get involved in other people's family affairs, but the thought of a small benefactor's had a green pasture. His vicious nature came up again. So there was a call to pick me up to the Pei family thing. But the following people did a little mistake, froze face blind, confused me with Liam. Luckily, by some misadventure, I ended up marrying the right man in the wrong sedan chair. So my grandfather is a great man. He learned that Savannah was already pregnant with Liam's child, and knowing Liam's plan to annex the Su family, he would definitely make a move on you, and was afraid that you'd be in danger. That's why he picked you up and brought you to Pei's house. Pei Yasi blinked and said, "My grandfather was called an old pervert again for protecting you. It's me who misunderstood Mr. Pierce." I smiled awkwardly. The misunderstanding was too big. Yasi. Thank your grandfather for me. Why don't you thank me in person, Mr. Pierce's voice came suddenly and I was startled, wondering when he had come in. I gazed nervously at Mr. Pierce and quickly lowered my head again. Mr. Pierce. Dane. I was about to get up when I was pressed back onto the bed by a broad hand. Lie down. You saved CC. You are my Pei family's benefactor. Such a small thing. No need to worry about it, Mr. Pierce's gaze fell on the glass of water at the side, felt the temperature, and frowned. Pour another cup of hot water. Faced with Mr. Pierce's care, I was so moved that I didn't know what to say. When the water was brought, Mr. Pierce immediately stood up and reached out to take it. I'll do it. Assistant Wong, you go rest, Mr. Pierce smiled as he glanced between Pei Yasi and I, and suddenly said, Xavier, what do you think of our sissy, Grandpa? What are you talking about? I snapped my head up and met Pei Yasi's gaze, blushing to the roots of my ears. Pei Yasi's face was also red.mr. Pierce laughed out loud when he saw it. You two are so funny. Only when Mr. Pierce left did I finally speak up. Yasi, you just came back to China. Your jet lag hasn't been reversed yet. You go rest too. I'm fine, Mr. Pierce sat on his butt on the edge of my bed and smiled softly towards me. Wasn't it you who called me to come back? How come you're kicking me out before my butt is even warmed up? Xavier, I know you and Savannah are divorced, and this time, I'm not letting you go. Savannah and Liam were officially married. She threw a big banquet and invited everyone in the company and bigwigs from all walks of life to watch the ceremony. Everyone was smiling and congratulating her. Su always looks better with a newcomer. I've heard that your company has also recently made new business breakthroughs. Good things come in pairs. More than that, I've also heard that Su is pregnant. It's like a triple happiness. I congratulate Su in advance for becoming a mother. But just at this moment, the door of the banquet hall was kicked open. Countless police officers barged in. What do you want? How outrageous. Don't you know we're having a wedding? But Savannah's face went white before she could finish her words. Pei, Mr. Pierce. The police made way. Mr. Pierce walked in the front, while I followed him. Seeing my face, everyone looked at each other. Isn't this Mr. Su's ex-husband? How did he appear here? Rumor has it that he followed Mr. Pierce. That's why Mr. Su divorced him. Seems to be true. Bullshit. Mr. Pierce is not the kind of person you guys are talking about. The rumor mongers have all been arrested. Liam's glass plummeted in his hand the moment he saw me. Xavier, you're not dead. His face was in shock. How? Clearly. I sneered and stepped forward. Yes. You obviously injected me with a deadly poison, but I survived to disappoint you. Savannah, didn't you say you were going to wait for me to come back? Why are you marrying someone else so soon? Could it be that you're afraid that if your belly gets bigger and bigger and the outside world learns that you cheated on me in marriage, it will have an effect on the company's stock price? Savannah's face turned whiter with every additional word I said. She became irritated. You're bullshitting me, Xavier. It's obviously because you're mentally unstable that I divorced you. What are you doing back now? I smiled coldly. To get back what belongs to me. Of course. I waved my hand and Assistant Wang handed me a list of property division. According to the law, the ownership of a company that was wholly founded before the marriage belongs to one of the parties after the divorce. That means your company belongs to me. The crowd looked at each other in disbelief. And Savannah was anxious. You're bullshitting me, Xavier. Even though you paid for the startup capital, I've been the one running the company all these years. And the legal person is me. So how can the company be yours? Looking at her ignorant look, I couldn't help but laugh. The company is indeed run by you. It's been hard on you all these years. Savannah, the company's capitalization. A quick check will tell you. I'm not lying. I don't care how you spent your money all these years. But those stocks, real estate, and company shares are all in my name. If you insist on pursuing. I'm afraid that even this wedding, you also spent my money to organize. You fart. Savannah wanted to rush over and hit me, but was blocked by Assistant Wang. He held Savannah's wrist fiercely. So many people are watching and the police are there. Is Mr. Su going to hit someone? Savannah's face was blue, but she didn't dare to argue with Pei's family. So she could only threaten me in a cold voice. Xavier, what's the matter? Let's sit down and talk afterward. Don't you fool around here. I know you don't want me to marry Liam. This way. They'll cancel the wedding. Big deal. They'll let you go back to the company and give you a manager position. I sneered out. Savannah, how do you have the nerve to say something like that? I gave up my career for you and supported you to this day. But you stole behind my back, got pregnant with someone else's child, and kicked me out again. Do you think I still have any thoughts about you? I don't love you anymore. And it's none of my business who you marry. Originally Liam wanted to speak for Savannah. But the next moment, the police came up with evidence of Liam's crime of using the company's money laundering during his employment. He was immediately arrested. Why are you arresting me? I'm working for MS. Su. Yes. She told me to do this. It was all because she instructed me. Savannah's face turned pale and she collapsed to the floor. She then realized that Liam had been making money behind her back based on her favoritism. Now that it had come out of the East, he was going to put the blame on her. She leisurely climbed up, walked over to Liam and slapped his face askew. With a spiteful face, she glared at him. Liam, are you still a human being? Am I not nice to you? Liam spat at her. I'll be damned. He completely stopped pretending. If it weren't for the fact that you have $2 and can help me pay off my debts, I wouldn't be whispering and coaxing you every day. It was a wonderful moment, dog-eat-dog as it were. On that day, in the witness of Mr. Pierce, I became the new president of the company. Liam was sentenced to a heavy prison term because of the suspicion of money laundering and offshore smuggling transactions. And Savannah, a breath of time. As all She probably never thought she'd see the day. She didn't believe I would do this to her at first, until she watched the company empty her chairman's office. "You robbers. Put everything down. All of these are my things. Who is he, Xavier, to move them?" Pei Yasi couldn't help but step forward and slap her in the face. "Savannah. Letting go of a husband who is true to you to spoil a wolfish loser. This is what you get. I would never want this bastard in my belly if I were you." Savannah went completely white. She had memories of her past life, and remembered at once how she had treated me and her own flesh and blood in her previous life. But now the bastard was hers and Liam's. Under Mr. Pierce's persistent persuasion, I stayed in the Pei family. At the beginning, Mr. Pierce still called me Little Box, until one day after Mr. Pierce told her, she finally changed her name and called me Brother Xavier. At first she called me brother, is still a little embarrassed. The voice is thin as a mosquito hum, but called after the habit. On the contrary, I began to be embarrassed. Her voice is always with a little bit of playfulness. Called me when the corner of the eye slightly up, as if in the test my reaction. Finally, after waking up from countless dreams of wanting more, I couldn't hold back any longer and pressed her against the door. "See, help me," I murmured, my throat dry and tight. She blushed an unusual shade of red and looked up at me, a panicked and curious light in her eyes. "How can I help you?" I intercepted her and carried her to the bed. As a man, I had a strong physical advantage, and at first I dominated. But as time went on, I found Pei Yasi's backbone getting stronger and stronger. She wrapped up like a little beast. I was tossed around by her and struggled until dawn. After some warmth, I covered my reddened face and burrowed into the quilt, not daring to look at her. While Pei Yasi leaned against the bed, with a big heroine look, and calmly said, "Xavier, I'll be responsible for you." I poked my head out of the quilt and looked at her with tears and laughter. Pei Yasi and I held a simple wedding, attended only by the Pei family's relatives. Mr. Pierce was so excited that he drank a few more cups, drunkenly pulled my hand, and spoke out of turn. "In fact, the little girl has long been looking at you, and asked me, an old man, to give her an assist. I'm relieved to see her marry the one she loves." I lowered my head and smiled, my gaze falling on Pei Yasi, who was not far away. She was wearing a white wedding dress, smiling brightly, like a blooming flower. The day after the wedding, the news of Savannah's death hit #1 on the hot search. It was a small fire. But fortunately the fire was controlled in time and did not cause widespread damage. The only people who died were Savannah and the fetus in her womb. Some say she had yelled out the window that she was a sinner before she died. Others say she couldn't take her ex-husband's big wedding, so she killed herself. Either way, it was an ending of her own choosing, and although Savannah's death made waves in the outside world, for me it was just the last page of my past life's entanglements. And I was able to let go of it once and for all. Married life is quiet and full of fun. Pei Yasi always have fresh ideas, like a small whirlwind that cannot stop. She loved to drag me to the garden to prune all kinds of shapes of small trees. Once she had a sudden idea to cut a shrub into the shape of a rabbit, but the result was halfway crooked into a quadruple image. She also liked to learn new dishes, but unfortunately her talent was limited and she often served some dark dishes. As the days went by, we had 2 daughters and a son. The eldest daughter looks like her. Her eyes are big and bright, and she smiles like a little sun. The youngest daughter is like me. She is quiet and likes to hold books. The son is a combination of the two of them. He is naughty and smart, and he always likes to pester his sisters to play. We also have 5 dogs, 10 cats, and a litter of rabbits. The house is a little zoo every day. The kids love to drag me and Pei Yasi to the yard on weekends to set up tents, the dogs in the lawn, Cats lazily sunbathing. Rabbits in the corner to chew carrots. Pei Yasi will always take the opportunity to be lazy. Leaning on my shoulder to pretend to see the scenery. Smelling the faint scent of flowers brought by the wind, those eyes full of stars blinked and said to me, "Hubby, it's so nice to have you here."